So, general campaign changes and fixes. Wow, there's a lot. Blessed spawnings for Lizardmen now trigger as intended. Good news for Lizardmen players. Loyalty dilemmas for Dark Elves and Skaven now trigger. In some cases, they may now trigger too often. It's currently being balanced. So, fair enough. It's nice to know that these events are happening. Because that's fun, honestly, the loyalty dilemmas. It adds some character to your characters that may stab you in the back. Also, fixed several rare end turn crashes. Good news. No one likes to crash. Fixed a rare instance where the player could end turn before the campaign flyover had finished, resulting in a crash. That's unusual. I'm not sure why someone would do that, but I guess that can happen. And now it doesn't, so that's good. The Tier 3 and Tier 4 Dark Elf entertainment buildings can now be constructed by those who do not own the Queen and the Crone. So, yep, that was a stupid bug. It blocked off those buildings for people who didn't buy the DLC. So in Warhammer 2, you could get those buildings, and then when the Queen and the Crone came out, you couldn't if you didn't own it. So that's great for people who don't, you know, just own Queen and the Crone, basically. So that's very nice. Dark Elves are now fixed. I think there's a mod that actually remedied that, but I'm not sure. But it's good to know that's been fixed, because that's a silly bug. That was a very silly one. So, Fortress Games, Skaven Blight. Is it Fortress Games? Where's Fortress Games? Anyway, Fortress Games, Skaven Blight, Hellpit, and occupied elven colonies can now be upgraded by those who do not own the Tomb Kings. Seriously, that was an issue as well? Okay, cool. Again, very silly bug. Glad that's fixed. Sister Slaughter are now recruited from Tier 3 Halls of Ravaging, which I think is slightly earlier than they were, and possibly for a different building. I'm not sure. Huh. Interesting. So, Sister Slaughter removed from where you recruit them. Skeleton Warriors and Skeleton Spearmen are now available to recruit from the Infantry Level 1 building, Open Graves, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're just, yeah, I mean, they're skeletons. You take them out of graves. It's weird that's not a thing. But now it is. Lords will now correctly be removed from the army when wounded by attrition. Interesting. I don't think I've ever lost a Lord to attrition. I always go into like an encamp stance or something, if that's going to be the case. So, that seems unusual, but they're correctly removed now. I don't know what happened before, but nice to know that's fixed. Fixed various instances of lines in diplomacy being delivered without consideration for the character's gender. Oh, well, that's good. That's good to know. That's been fixed. Fixed a rare instance where ambushes could be discovered when armies were not near the ambush. That's unusual. But again, good. Thorgrim's Grudge against Undead skill now applies to Tomb Kings. Good, because it should, because they're undead. So I like that. The Overcast version of Command of the Unliving has been added to campaign. Okay, I didn't... oh, okay, Command of the Unliving. That's Crypt Ghouls. That's the Crypt Ghoul summon. The Overcast one is Crypt Horrors. So that's in campaign now. That's nice. That's nice to know. Strange that wasn't in there before, but again, these are bug fixes. So it was a bug, and it's fixed. Fixed all Engage Force Army invading mission conditions, so they will now trigger. What? I don't know. I guess that's when all the missions where an army spawns, especially to come mess you up. I'm assuming it means that. I'm assuming that means that, yeah. Because I think there were times where they'd get taken out by something other than you and it would break the game because you couldn't carry on the mission and all sorts of nonsense like that. There were some weird issues with that, so hopefully that's all fixed. Fixed Hellebron's early game mission to upgrade Harganeth to point at the correct region. Okay, not sure what that replies, refers to, but hey, it's fixed. Fixed Alariel's early game mission to upgrade Guy and Vale with the correct building requirements. Good, good. Boris Toddbringer now has access to Imperial Pegasus and Imperial Griffin mounts in campaign. He finally gets a mount. Good for him. And he now has the Midland Runefang and White Cloak of Ulrich as starting campaign magic items. He has the White Cloak of Ulrich now. Oh, is that going to be in, multiplayer? Or is it already and I just always forget what it's called? I don't know. So that's nice. So, Boris, better in campaign now. I know he's still just a villain, but hey, there's mods to unlock him. Moved Clan Eshin faction leader to Ashlotl, I think that's pronounced. So yeah, Ashlotl. Or is it Axlotl? I think AX is Ash. But I think in this case it's Axe. Anyway, I'm not sure. I think it's Axlotl, actually. Anyway, from Marks the Old One settlement in Mortal Empire's campaign. Okay, so Clan Eshin's moved, which makes sense. Because I think where he was, that's in stiff competition with Loki Fellheart and what's he called? Skrolk. So it makes sense to move him, so he's not just wiped out straight away. Clan Eshin now has control of Axolotl settlement from the start of the Mortal Empires campaign. Reduced the initial army strength of the Southern Sentinels in the Vortex campaign. So yeah, that makes sense. That's basically Lokir's first bad guy, right? That's just where Lokir goes to fight his first missions. So you got to have that stupid crap army that you fight initially, right, on turn 1. So that makes sense. So Skegi's landmark building can once again be constructed. Oh, good news. High Elf wood resource buildings now also affect Shadow Warriors and Sisters of Avalon. Interesting. That's good to know, because of course these were DLC things, and it's supposed to do all archers, so it makes sense. Dark Elf pasture resource buildings now also affect Doomfire Warlock, so again, you know, just added that to the other cavalry, so that makes a lot of sense. Dark Elf medicine resource now affects Sister Slaughter, so again, just adding the DLC stuff onto the correct, you know, thing. Bretonia can now construct their own variant of the Archecclesiatium of Myrmidia. There we go, nailed it, first time. Honestly, the the Church of Myrmidia now gives more corruption reduction and public order. That's good to know. The Karon tournament grounds income no longer affected by farm buildings. Okay, I'm not sure what that refers to, but cool. Sure. The Tower of Hoeth correctly applies its bonuses to sword masters and battle wizards. Good, because I didn't know that it didn't, but it must, because it's the Tower of Hoeth, so it's about time. The Dark Elf Daylight Denied technology now affects the income of the correct buildings. The Dark Elf Harnessed Fury technology now also affects Charybdis units. The Dark Elf Hardship and Cruelty and Masters of Murder technologies now also affect Doomfire Warlock units. Various High Elf technologies now also affect Sisters of Avalon and Shadow Warriors. The Vampire Decipher Nehekara manuscripts and Incantations of Nagash now properly increase the income of the associated buildings. The Vampiric Revivification and Delusions of Grandeur no longer incorrectly affect Blood Knights. Altdorf now has a proper garrison when occupied by dwarfs or greenskins. Oh, okay. Cool. The Pyramid of Nagash now has a proper garrison when occupied by Skaven, Lizardmen, or Dark Elves. Good. Increased priority of High Elf Dragon Princes, Bolt Throwers, and Chariots in garrisons. Interesting. Oh, in garrisons, huh? Increase the priority of them. What does that mean? Oh, yes, I think I know what it was. If you have a load of garrison buildings, special buildings and stuff that up the garrisons, you ended up with a load of elite units just being added onto the end, but it can't go higher than like a 20 stack, so you ended up losing a load of valuable units. So it's made sure that the valuable units are actually in the garrison instead of spearmen. So that's a really good change. It means you can actually just go ham, making huge garrisons in places, using a variety of buildings. And you won't lose all your dragon princes, which would suck. So, fixed Wulfric's innate reinforcement range bonus being applied twice. Huh, interesting. Fixed some Norska events using Chaos event pictures instead of Norska-specific ones. Fixed a number of effects that were not applying to the correct unit rank restrictions. Fixed army upkeep penalty not showing for Norska. Fixed Dark Elf sorceresses of beasts, hero using Lord magic skills. Oh, interesting. Oh, so I guess they had better skills than they were supposed to, because they were using the Lord ones. Fixed Dark Elf Supreme Sorceress of Death Lord using hero magic skills. So she was actually worse than the other ones. That's silly. Fixed Tomb Kings Tahoth? Yeah, go with Tahoth. Right, not applying unit recruitment rank bonuses in local recruitment. Oh. Fixed Alariel's Spiritual Defender, applying melee defense instead of melee attack to Sisters of Avalon units. Fixed Warriors of Chaos quests, not triggering if the advisor was unavailable. Well, sorry, was not available. That seems strange that that's a thing, but alright. Fixed the Dark Elf Assassin, Shroud of Darkness skill, not reducing vigor loss correctly. Fixed the Handmaiden's Resistant trait, not applying its effects properly. Fixed Avalon Treemen, Dryads, Treekin, and Shadow Walkers recruitment issues. I didn't know there were recruitment issues, but that's nice. That's fixed. Fixed Strigoi Terrorgeist mount transferring issue. Transferring where? Where did it go? To a different to a different school? What's happening? Anyway, fixed missing immortality skill on Norska Marauder chieftains. That's nice to know that they can be immortal now. Terrible for, you know, the mortal world, but great for them. Good for them. Fixed missing attrition immunity for some Norska units. Oh, fair enough. That's a silly thing, if they're all dying in places they shouldn't. Changed sacking bonus to raising bonus in the Eye Opens Wider dilemma for Warriors of Chaos. Fixed Heinrich Kemmler's Chaos Tombblade effects, removing the Skeleton Warrior upkeep reduction and replacing it with Chaos Attrition immunity. Fixed Norska ritual armies being able to occupy settlements. Fixed a rare soft lock where Ilariel's Star of Avalon quest would not start if she had been confederated. Yeah, I've seen people complain about that. I'm glad that's fixed, because, yeah, missing out on Star of Avalon that just sucks. Brayherds and Wars no longer feature Lords and Heroes as regular units. Yeah, that was quite funny. You'd see a load of Wars with Grimgore, or like multiple Grimgores leading it, which is pretty funny. Fixed a rare case where the player could not declare war on the Crooked Moon Mutinous Gits faction if they had re-emerged. That's interesting, but cool. Fixed Colex unique skill and quest item not applying replenishment bonus correctly. Fixed Tree Spirit building chain not appearing in Crag Halls of Findol. Fixed Forest Spirit building chain not appearing in Whiterioth. Fixed Slayer Shrine Tier 5 having lower untainted effect than Tier 4 building. That's very silly. Anyway, fixed inconsistent population requirement for Wood Elf settlements. Savage Orc minor settlements and Savage Orc and Norscan occupied settlements. Black Crag, Karak Peaks, Karaza Karak. Fixed Norscan technologies granting immortality to all characters. Wow, that's impressive. Including garrison commanders, rather than distinguishing between lords and heroes. Fair enough. Fixed Wurzag Squiggly Beast Stage 2 mission not accepting other Night Goblin variants. Fixed a number of minor settlements having more than 4 building slots. Oh, that's interesting. Fixed Wood Elf technology Lilith the Maiden not applying magic resistance to all units. Reinstated upgraded version of Command of the Living for Strigoi Ghoul Kings. So yeah, that's the overcast, you know, version. That's the Crypt Horrors instead of the Crypt Ghouls that we mentioned earlier. Unit stats now share context bonuses, e.g. improved melee attack when fighting against Bretonnia, when appropriate on the pre-battle screen in campaign. Oh, interesting. That's really cool to know, so you can actually see what your stats are going to be like when you're in combat. That's really nice. I like that. Usually you have to start a battle before you can see those bonuses. That's cool. That's nice. So, the Rite of Sotek can now be unlocked by winning defensive ambush battles. Fixed inconsistencies in Bretonian Warhorse mount naming. What does that mean? What? Oh, I have no idea. That's strange, but cool. Fixed Grombrindle's Cloak of Valea quest battle pre-battle screen not showing any enemy units. Oh, okay. Fixed Marathi's quest chain getting stuck in an incompatible rite if she had been confederated into Crone Hellebron's faction. Frosty Beginnings mission should no longer trigger for Crone Hellebron if she is at war with the faction. Fixed Norska not being able to occupy settlements that were added in recent patches. Phrase Pirate Booty now freely interchangeable with Pirate Duty. Finally! Finally! God, it's about time. Fixed an issue where loading an autosave after confederating as Norska on legendary difficulty would not save the confederation. Fixed an instance of the event feed where Brayhert could be referred to as Wars. That's unusual. It's very unusual. Anyway, Dark Elves now receive event messages when a Black Ark building is constructed or demolished. Morga's Stave of Ruinous Corruption quest will now correctly proceed when the quest is aborted as a result of the Greenskins faction being destroyed. As Warriors of Chaos, awakening a tribe in a region that was under rebellion, no longer amalgamations of unimaginable horror. No longer produces amalgamations of unimaginable horror. Really? Under rebellion? I don't know what happened there. I don't know, maybe it's a crash, but cool. It doesn't do that anymore. Adjusted campaigner trait so that it will no longer trigger when close to the faction capital. Oh yeah, I had that a few times, I think, happen. Yeah, people are like, you're so far away from the capital. It's like, I'm in it. But, alright. Vlad's Blood Drinker quest stage 2 has been changed to defeat an Empire army. Okay. Dwarf campaigns will no longer start with -36 public order in the home province. Yeah, that's a bit silly. I didn't realise that. That's awful. Change the skill Renowned and Feared to be gender neutral, so that it makes sense for both male and female characters' skill trees. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because, yeah, that's shared by so many lords now. Lords and heroes, so they had to do that. But, yeah, Warhammer 1, it didn't matter, you know, for most of those skills. Everything was a dude. So anyway, clicking on the resource of the Mortuary Cult to zoom to the nearest one should now work correctly for all resources. Oh, good. Norscan garrison leaders can no longer be wounded and subsequently return from duty. That's so unusual that they come back. So that's good, they fixed that. That's very odd. The second and third tier slave building chain for Norsca now correctly gives bonuses to sacking. The Norscan tech longer hulls will now correctly give 10% bonus to sacking. Players can no longer declare war on their own blood voyage. Wow, that's unusual you could do that. A good way to get slaves, I guess. You know? But I guess you pay for the blood voyage in slaves, so suddenly getting more slaves out of them seems like a waste. But alright, cool. Shadow Walkers and Shadow Warriors will no longer gain the 10% missile resistance of favourable winds prior to rank 7. Skaven factions are no longer invisible to the player after being vassalized. Oh, that's good, so you can actually see your vassals. That makes a lot of sense. Elithanar will no longer trigger an advisor message about Dark Elves when none are present. Oh, alright. The advisor now correctly shows for Vlad and Isabella. Good. The advisor will no longer incorrectly trigger when playing a Skaven, informing the player of technologies being available when there are none. The faction summary for Nagarond will now show the correct faction symbol when referencing Exiles of Nehek. Fixed an issue with Kislev names not displaying properly. Added a tooltip to the toggle notification options on Lords and Heroes to clarify the functionality better. The tooltip for Amber will no longer advise the player to demolish buildings to regain Amber when the only buildings that require Amber cannot be demolished. Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. That's pretty funny. Tooltip will no longer stay stuck on screen when turning a locked overlay on and exiting the overlay screen. The Skaven mission, Evil Squeevel. Evil Squinevel? Evil Consqueevel. It's an Evil Knievel joke. Anyway, so, the Evil will now ask the player to recruit a do-wheel rather than a chariot. Makes sense. I mean, sure, it counts as a chariot, but it's not a chariot, it's a do-wheel. Come on. Never enough doom wheels. Famir Balefiend skill, Power Drain, has been renamed Magical Reserves to better reflect its functionality. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Fix a typo in Elithanar's Scepter skill. Fix a typo in Arkan the Black's Flyover. Fixed a typo in Tyrion's Dragon Armor of Anarian quest battle event message. Fixed a typo in Vlad von Karstein's Blood Drinker quest chain. Fixed a typo with the magical item Pigeon Plucker Pendant. Say that fast 3 times. Fixed edge cases in AI versus AI Auto-Resolver, which favoured one side too much. Fixed a typo on the Pearl of Infinite Darkness. AI is now far less likely to construct 2 of the same building in the same province. Oh, thank God. That's good. That's really good, because more variety is always better. They always end up with the same recruitment buildings, and it's just dumb. So that's great. That's changed. Port settlements will now show a port icon on the city info bar. I like that. It's good for, you know, seeing stuff quickly when you're a pirate wanting to establish coves. Vampiric corruption will no longer overlap in the tooltip at certain percentages. That's good. I noticed that at one point. It was a bit squiffy. Kilhar, the Tormentor, will no longer stand in a T-pose on the campaign map. I don't know who Kilhar the Tormentor is, but it's good to know that he's not in a T-pose anymore. Fixed a typo in the Forbidden Library flavor text. Norscan long-term victory message should be more relevant to the faction now. Fixed typos in Lucky Skullhelm's flavor text. Confederating as Norsca by defeating a faction lord will no longer results in the incorrect event message. You need to fix a typo in the patch notes. Event message from being displayed. Fixed a typo in the Gathering of Might skill tooltip. Fixed an anomaly with the auto-resolve bar display resetting in strength when adding more units. Oh, interesting. Added income to Bretonnian settlements. Wait, what? Bretonnian settlements didn't have income? Okay, that's bizarre. They're there now, that's good. The button to disband the Lord in a character details panel is now greyed out for legendary lords. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Fix an issue where Malagor's entire army could be lost if he was wounded. Ooh, that sucks. Gore Grazen will no longer load the Shrine of Cain battle from campaign. Good. Good. Now, and these are just general bugs, aren't they? And then there's audio changes, and then the balancing. Oh my god. Okay, we're carrying on. We're carrying on with this one. Okay, you might have noticed this is a second video now. Alright, I've done all the general tweaks as a separate video. This is a 3-video series, which you've discovered halfway through this one. So there's still the other video coming. So, relax. So, general battle changes and fixes. Added a new host spectator toggle to multiplayer battles in order to improve tournament battle viewing and broadcasts. In this mode, the host can set up the battle but not join it as a contestant. When the match begins, the host can freely spectate while the battle between players commences. This mode is currently in beta. Host has visibility over armies of all players. The host and all players must ready up in order to for the battle to commence, which is great. It means the host can click start when they're ready. So the players can ready up and then the host can just ready. It's not that the two players ready up and then the battle starts. So, you know, that was always annoying. You always had to wait for the host to say, oh, hey, can you start now? Please, we want to do it. So they can just ready up when they're ready, and then the host can start whenever he likes. That's awesome. Currently, AI armies cannot be assigned to player slots, so that's a pity. So no AI while you're spectating, but great for tournaments, you know. Also, currently, additional spectators cannot be added to the battle, so no other people can spectate apart from the host, which makes sense, I guess, because I guess that is the spectator slot in a way. I don't know how that works, but whatever. Makes sense, and I like that. This is great. This is a nice change. So, fixed some rare battle crashes. Added the Barrow Legion faction to custom battles. Reinforcements should now enter the battlefield from the expected direction. A lot of people were complaining about that on Reddit once upon a time. That's fixed. The timer in replays will now count up rather than down, so no more spoilers. You might have noticed that in all the early access stuff so far. Fixed an issue where the game could freeze and crash when hovering over multi-shot ammunition on Reaper bolt throwers. Well, I'm glad that doesn't happen anymore. I never knew that was the thing. I never really hovered over it, so anyway. Updated War Hydra and Charybdis unit category descriptions. Reduced likelihood of artillery marching towards Greenskin and High Elf towers when given an order to attack the towers. That's unusual. AI will now use Realm of Souls with Shabti and Menace from below on non-ranged slash artillery units. Interesting. If the Menace below is used inside a settlement as the attacker, the towers will no longer fire inside the settlement. What? Wow, interesting. Encourage attribute has been added to the Goblin Great Shaman when mounted on a giant wolf. Oh, good. Because, yeah, if it didn't have Encourage before, that's silly. Encourage attribute has also been added to the Night Goblin Shaman. Oh, okay. That's odd that it was missing then. Norsky units, Trolls, Frostworm, and Manticore now have Siege Attacker attribute. That's good. I like that. They should. They absolutely should have that. Malekith now has the Siege Attacker attribute when on a Dragon Mount. Makes a lot of sense. High Elf Dragon Mounts now correctly show the Siege Attacker icon. Oh, so they had it, but it didn't show it. Chanted Decapods thrice into a mirror while turning around and oh mighty Sigmar, look at the mess we're in. What? Huh? I've got nothing, guys. I've got nothing. I have no idea. No idea what this is. But what a change. What a change that is. Fixed issue with Siege Attacker icon not appearing for High Elf Lords mounted on dragons and custom battles. Wulfric now correctly has 15% missile resistance when mounted on his Mammoth. High Elf Noble will no longer incorrectly do damage on collision. Added missing loading screen quotes for some units. Ulthuan battle maps will no longer incorrectly be used when fighting in Badlands, area of the Vortex campaign map. Fireball can no longer be cast without it costing Winds of Magic and ignoring its cooldown. Fixed scale of Wood Elf heroes. Oh, Wood Elf heroes are too big? Huh. Fixed an issue where Beastmen models would appear too large compared to the Razorgod chariot they were occupying. Oh yeah, that was odd. Anyway, zooming limits adjusted. Min camera height is lower. Ooh, ooh, and mouse cam is 70% higher. Okay, this is awesome. This means I don't have to use the better camera mod anymore. It's just going to work. That's so good. That is really good. I'm so glad they've changed this, because it was far too restrictive before. That is amazing. I love that. I'm so happy. Thank you, CA. Marry me. Anyway, Lords on flying mounts should now respond correctly to movement orders after being interrupted or knocked back during duels. Fixed an issue where invalid movement orders could be issued on several siege maps. Heinrich Kemmler now has his Krell summon ability in his quest battles played via the front end. Oh, good news. Elithanar will now use a Great Eagle in his Moonbow quest, when started from the front end to match the campaign starting army. Rage is no longer removed when disabling Foe Seeker or Fight or Die from Maraud Achievement Lord in custom or multiplayer battles. Bjark Black Raider will now display the correct model. Dark Elf Manticore's faceplate is now positioned correctly. Templehof Luminarch now displays the correct model and VFX when destroyed. Fixed a graphical stretching issue shown on Dark Elf Manticore's legs. Oh, interesting. Fixed an issue where the Supreme Sorceress would clip through the seat on the Manticore mount. Fixed an issue where Ushabti's heads could show as small triangles when zoomed out. Fixed an issue where Necropolis Knights, where the main body would clip through the head. Fixed an issue where Loathed Sea Guard's shields, kelp, would not display correctly. Blood should no longer appear as vertical lines on the Hydra and Charybdis' necks. Blood will no longer disappear on ranged units' bows during their fighting animations. The Charybdis heads should no longer be so offset during the Charybdis matched animation. Fixed various issues with elf units when weapon switching, which included weapons flickering or disappearing and holding swords and bows at the same time. Dark Riders (brackets repeater crossbows) and Raven Heralds (brackets repeater crossbows) will no longer change their bow model during their firing animation. Pistoliers, Outriders, and Outriders grenade launchers will no longer swap their sword between their hand and hip while idling. Mounted Yeomen will no longer change their bow model during their firing animation. Dark Riders with shields will no longer hold their shields correctly during charges. The Handmaiden's spear will no longer detach from her hand during some attack animations. The Blessed Legion of Farkth will no longer incorrectly hold spears and shields when the user is zoomed out in a great distance from the unit. Fixed an animation syncing issue during Hellstorm rocket battery's firing animation. Fixed an issue where low-tier Empire and Bretonnia units would play the wrong animation during a moving attack. Fixed an issue where Morga would occasionally use a whip when attacking. Oh, that's so sad. I always found that really fun. But it was a bug, so, you know, it's fixed. The Charybdis' main head will no longer snap during any attacks. The Charybdis will no longer cross its jaw during sweeping attacks. Increased shadow map resolution on medium, high, and ultra settings. So yeah, shadows look better. Is that a bug? I don't know, shadows look better. That's nice. Added collision to some buildings that lacked it on Khemri siege map. Troops will now hide correctly in the Khazid Ikulaz map. Fixed an area in Eagle Gate map where troops could not be deployed. Fixed multiple instances of floating walls and props on Portalistor siege map. The walls are no longer slightly floating above the terrain in the ancient city of Quintex siege map. Props will no longer flicker on Karak Zorn siege map. Fix an issue with the lighting in Kazakh. Do you mean Kazakh Izor siege map? Is it Kazakh? Oh, it's Kazakh. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's a Kazakh. I don't know. In the siege map, anyway. Ruination of cities will no longer appear textureless. Oh, okay. I didn't even realise that was a thing. Huh. Fixed some smoke VFX that appeared to be 2D. VFX will now be properly displayed when the Sunmaker is destroyed. Norscan Warhounds are now using the correct unit card. The Branch Wraith provided in the army for Sword of Death Stage 1 quest battle will no longer use the incorrect unit card. Upgraded spells with a -15% miscast chance will now display the miscast chance in the tooltip. Frost Breath now has the correct tooltip. Sound will now correctly play when clicking on the unit info arrows in custom battle. Wood Elf and High Elf archers will no longer swap bow models when firing. Artillery will no longer be able to shoot beyond its intended range when forcing it to shoot at the ground. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's hilarious. Frame rate drops should be less frequent during battle when unit appear or abilities are used. This I noticed, actually, when we got the build for the Everchosen. I noticed that things were just running better. Because I zoom in a lot, so special effects really hit my frame rate usually. But now it just doesn't. It runs so much smoother when I'm zoomed in. So this... Love you guys. Again, marry me twice. Loathen Sea Guards with shields should now correctly display on their backs when they are in missile mode. Wood Elf and High Elf Lords' swords will no longer disappear and reappear during their firing animations when mounted on horses. Individual archer units should no longer be killing an excessive number of enemies compared to the same units in the army. Huh, interesting. Heroes will no longer die when flying over a wall that gets destroyed. That's hilarious. Order and Movement VO no longer plays as a spectator in multiplayer battles. Order and Movement VO no longer play during replays. Projectiles now currently show VFX when projectile trails are set to off. Oh my god. Okay, almost there. Audio changes and fixes. Reworked group vocalization system and added new assets for most humanoid units. Blood Knights thirst for blood more. It's about time. Bretonians, knights and peasants are now overly honourable. Good. Dark Elves, male, female and Witch Elves are now extra malevolent. It's about time. Dwarfs now hold even more grudges. Good, good. Empire State troops are now more disciplined. Nice. Goblins are now extra stabby. I mean, they're probably pretty stabby. High Elves, male and female, have increased in arrogance. God. Can they, really? Orcs now war harder than ever. Warriors of Chaos and Norskins, Chosen, Marauders and Chaos Warriors, worship the Dark Gods more intensely. Wood Elves, male and female, are now wilder. So there's some good things there. You know, the vocalization systems, I like that. Tweaked and improved individual vocalizations, new assets for Chaos, Chosen Marauders, Chaos Morphins, Dwarfs, and Ghost Horses. Really, Ghost Horses, huh? Awesome. So that's cool, new assets. They've added new stuff, but it's vocalization, so it's probably new for other languages that I will never notice, which is a shame. Improved distinction between roars and screams for animations, battle and campaign, and retagged animations to use the suitable events. Tweaked probabilities of individual vocalizations triggering. Legendary Lords have all received the new Cinematic Kit 2 impact sounds for their melee attacks, appropriate to their weapon or attack of choice. So, better sounds for attacks. I like that. I didn't notice, but that's awesome. That's cool to know. Improved the audio mix when music is enabled. Rebalanced the mix of multiplayer larger creatures. Improved the audio feedback on the magic and ability targeting. Reduced spamming of targeting UI sound when moving between targets. Okay. I like the sound of that. Reduced cannonball impact spam. Blasting charge limiting updated. So I guess it's when... Yeah, I think I've had that issue where you don't hear all of them and it can bug out a bit. Anyway. Reworked Empire and Norska battle environment ambience. Oh, okay. Set Alariel Alithanar and Crone Hellebron's campaign lord details panel VO to 2D. Okay. Front-end ambiences now crossfade when switching between backgrounds. Front-end Lord portrait videos now play once at full volume, then reduce volume for subsequent loops. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Malekith has had a bit of a lie down. Is feeling much better now, thank you, and will no longer scream incessantly in raiding stance. Oh, this is my favourite note so far. Sound will now correctly play when clicking on the unit info arrows in custom battle. Alright guys, next video we're going to do the multiplayer balance changes, and I'm very much looking forward to that. So guys, stay tuned. I'm going to post these all at the same time probably, or as quickly as they will get rendered. So yeah, look forward to that, and I'll see you there. So if you're new to the channel, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.